Good evening. For those of you just turning in, I'm John Lenz, Albany Bureau Chief for City and State, joined by Assemblyman Karim Camara.
Hi.
Thanks for being with us tonight.
Great pleasure and honor to be with you.
And yet another winner, not a winner, but someone we're recognizing on our Albany Power 100 list. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So it's been a big year in Albany already. There's still more to do.
Right.
There's a lot of progress on the charter school front.
Mm-hmm.
There was a push for the DREAM Act, not successful.
Right.
What are you looking at? What are your top priorities going forward for the rest of the session?
Right. Well, you mentioned we were able to do some very significant things in the budget. We had $1.1 billion for foundational aid for schools. We had universal pre-kindergarten, $340 million for pre-kindergarten. That's very significant. Even though charter schools have become very controversial, there are many districts where there's a great need for students to get a quality education. Many of the schools in the area are not up to par yet, so there are parents who need charter schools. We're able to do something to avoid co-location, which has become very controversial, so that's something that hopefully everyone will be happy with. Going forward, we have to address the DREAM Act. Very critical. That's not something else that's controversial, but we have many children that are here with their parents, came here not at their own volition, came here with their parents, came here under 18. Their parents many times are working or paying taxes, yet their children can't have the benefits to tuition assistance programs as many other children have. It's a win-win because if we allow them to expand access to education, they will they will have a better education, they'll get a better job, and they'll pay taxes, which is very, very significant. Sure. Also, New York and North Carolina, only two states that charge 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds as adults. It's time that we change that here in New York as well.
Sure, and that's an issue the governor has talked about, correct?
That's right. He mentioned it as a priority in the state of the state.
Right. And with the DREAM Act, with some other issues, there was a real push to include it in the budget. If it's part of the budget, it's more likely to pass, you have more leverage.
Right.
Do you think we'll see some real substantial legislation, either the DREAM Act, other priorities, now that the budget's done, or will we kind of,
Well, I'm hoping so. I mean, the raw political reality is it's better to do it in a budget. Once the budget is over, you lose most of your power of leverage, of negotiation, of the quote-unquote, the horse trading part of the process. But I'm hoping that as we move forward, Democrats and Republicans, both in the Assembly and in the Senate, will say these are things that are beneficial to New Yorkers. Let's put the politics aside. All politics is local, but at some point you have to do what's right. And I think if we look at doing what's right, we'll say that it's in the best interest of New Yorkers, that we don't treat children as adults in the criminal justice system, that we expand access to education, that we allow, in cases, criminal justice cases, we allow people who are innocent to have a fair say in the criminal justice system. This is not a liberal issue. It's a practical issue. It's pragmatic, and it's something that will be good for all New Yorkers.
Sure. Another issue, a measure that the governor proposed, is providing college courses to inmates.
Right.
And that was not successful so far. Do you think that will continue to be a top priority, or is that kind of fallen by the wayside this session?
Well, I was very surprised. When I first heard it, the governor's office, to their credit, let me know about it before they announced it to the public. It was something I was in support of. I did a statement in support of. And then the reaction that I heard from many sectors, I was very surprised because I thought this was something that liberals, conservatives, Democrats, Republicans could support. The basic idea is that if somebody is incarcerated, if you allow them to have an education to get skills, then once they're released, they're less inclined to commit acts of crime. That's something that's good for the individual, it's good for their families, it's also good for the community. Because if there's a connection between reading scores, literacy, and the propensity to be involved in deviant behavior or criminal behavior. So the idea is if you allow individuals to not just be incarcerated, but allow them to be transformed during their period of incarceration, that's in the best interest of everybody. But there's been a very negative reaction. But going forward, again, if we can be pragmatic and see why this is good for everyone involved, then that will be to the betterment of New Yorkers.
Sure. Well, thank you for your time, Assemblyman, and congratulations again for being on our Power 100 list.
Pleasure and honor, and hopefully my mom is proud of me.
I hope so, too. She better be.